You're listening to English with Monty, the podcast about the English language. Today is 8-Minute English, talking about the use of have and have got. Hello there, and welcome to 8-Minute English. I've got Gideon. Gideon, have you got a new phone?
I haven't got a new phone. Why?
Oh, because I thought you had.
Well, depends what you mean by new. No, my phone's at least 3 weeks old, so it's not new at all.
3 weeks
It's an
old.
old model.
It's an old model. You're going to have to get a new one soon.
Exactly.
How are you anyway?
I'm good.
Excellent. We're talking about have or have got.
Okay.
And what is the difference between the two, first of all? I think that's probably a good starting point, isn't it?
You want me to answer that question?
If you would, that would be great.
Well, have got, we're talking about possession here, not
Yes.
have got to, which is obligation. We're talking about have got as possession, and is the most common way to talk about possession in the present tense, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
In standard, I think it depends. There are sort of regional differences, but in sort of standard Southern British English, have got is the most common way to talk about possession. So I've got a pen, I've got a pen, I've got a coffee, I've got time, I've got a lot of my mind. So that's the most common way rather than I have a pen, fair enough. And also for questions as well, you'd say it. I don't know how to use the same, have you got a pen? Probably use that in many a classroom. Have you got a new phone? That would be the most common way to say it. There are other ways. Do you have a pen? Have you a pen? No, that sounds a bit strange, doesn't it? Do you have is okay. Have you got is the most common way, I'd say, in the present tense.
Have you a pen sounds almost Shakespearean.
It does. I think some regional forms would say that, or old-fashioned, but in standard English, you generally put in a got. You'd stick in a got there somewhere. Have you got a pen? Maybe for the rhythm. I don't know why, but we do that like that.
It is very much about possession, isn't it, really? And I suppose that would be the two elements you look at it between have and have got. It's about possession, or you're emphasizing possession in some way. And it could also be a bit more informal.
You don't usually use it in the past tense or the future. You don't, do you? Yesterday, I had a pen, but now it's disappeared. Not yesterday, I had got a pen. No, only in the present tense.
Oh, that's very true, isn't it? That's a good thing to underline. Yes, definitely. You wouldn't say had got, would you? It doesn't exist.
Tomorrow, I will have got a pen. No, that would mean something completely different. No, tomorrow I will have a pen because one's arriving by post.
There isn't that flexibility with have got. Yeah, have does have that flexibility. Also, I think maybe if you're in a bit more of a formal situation in an interview, maybe you're more like to say, okay, we need you to drive all around the UK, John. Do you have a car? Yes, I have a car. That's more likely to be said, isn't it? In that kind of scenario, it's less common to say, I've got a car.
Yeah, possibly. That's slightly more formal. That's true. Both will be correct, though.
That's true. Both are correct. But I would say in those kind of circumstances, it's probably a bit safer to use have, isn't it, really? And probably the question.
Or you won't get a job.
Oh, exactly.
Okay.
I guess it doesn't
Fair
make
point.
a big difference, does it? But yes, it does sound a little bit more informal. It's kind of things with friends or to emphasize possession in some way. But also, I guess you could talk about appearance and family and friends. For example, I've got brown hair.
3 sisters.
Yeah. Also, as well, you could talk about a timetabled event. So I've got kabaddi practice later on this afternoon.
Kabaddi?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know you did kabaddi.
Are you a fan?
Yeah. I'm thinking that we put in the got just because have is such a common word. So you put in got, it makes it clear that you're talking about possession.
Often we would say it with illnesses, wouldn't we? We'd say, I've got a cold.
Exactly.
An abstract thing, I suppose. Like, I've got a good idea.
Exactly.
Like, it's unusual for me to say, I have
an idea. Yeah. Very common. Do get into the habit of using it.
Yes. Also, obviously, of course, we contract it a lot of the time. So I have got becomes I've got. She has got becomes she's got. That is obviously quite consistent with how you would
Hmm.
use most verbs, isn't it, really? And also, obviously, with the negative, I suppose there's a bit more emphasis if, like with all verbs, isn't it? If you don't give the contraction. So if I
Yeah.
say, we have not got any pets, as opposed to we haven't got any pets, obviously the first one sounds a bit more, doesn't it? It sounds a bit more formal. Not formal, it sounds a bit more emphasized. And then I suppose with the question, we touched on that briefly, but have you got a big country house? And
Exactly.
if so, how many bedrooms has it got? Only 27. Wow. I thought you bought a bigger place than that. Then it's also important to think about the short answers as well, because obviously, if we think about the present perfect, you've got have or has plus the past participle. Also, as well with have got, it kind of acts like an auxiliary, doesn't it? Here, obviously, if I say, have you got a new job? Then your response would be
Yes, I have.
yes. You don't say, yes, I
And if
got.
you say no, but if you say, do you have a new job? Yes, I do. Have you got a new job? Yes, I have. So that's kind of tricky because you've got have, you're using the verb to have as an auxiliary. So you have to reply with have. And if it's do, I have, then do is the auxiliary. I have is a normal verb.
Exactly. I think that's hopefully relatively clear for people. What would you say we use more often in everyday English? Do you think we use have got a bit more often?
In present tense, yeah, definitely.
In the present tense, of course. But it is frequently used, isn't it, really, by native speakers? We'd use that a lot. And I suppose it's probably something that English learners don't really use too much. And it's probably a good idea to get into the habit of using it, isn't it?
It's sort of underused a little bit. The sort of default is have. You can use got as well, have got. So I encourage you to use it.
And I think probably it's worth emphasizing as well because got is the past of get, isn't it? So
Yeah.
that's also another thing that could be a little bit confusing. But have got is like kind of a collective, isn't it? It doesn't mean the past of get. It has no relation to the past of get, does it?
No, not really. No.
I suppose as a verb, get can often be associated with taking something or having possession in
Hmm.
some way, can't it? Depending on the context.
Yes, exactly. Like a get is kind of like a, I know, Swiss Army knife of the English language. You can use it in so many different situations, but we'll
Hmm.
go into that another time, I guess.
Yes, indeed. So I think that's it. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Just that it's been a beautiful moment, John.
As always, every
Yeah,
moment with you is
yeah,
a
sure.
beautiful moment. Thanks for joining me, Gideon. You've been listening to 8 Minute English.